channel. It's Mayamiiaa and I'm back with another video. If you hear popping noises, they are fireworks. It's July 5th and people still want to pop fireworks. So if you hear that throughout this video, I am so sorry. I'm gonna start adding military content to my channel. So if that's something you guys are interested in, I would suggest that you subscribe, like, comment, because I am adding new content to my channel. If that's something that you're interested in, I'd rather you stick around. So my boyfriend and I met when we were both in college. We've been together for almost 4 years. We really didn't have to deal with separation until the COVID-19 pandemic struck, because when it struck, I chose to go back home and he chose to stay on campus because he was an RA. And we were both graduating in the spring of 2021, and that's when he decided that he wanted to go into the military and he was going to be leaving that summer. Leading up to my boyfriend leaving, he was going to be leaving in July, and he was going to be gone from July to September. And he went into the Army. He's in the Army right now. So days leading up to him leaving, I remember we were both trying to get him situated with getting ready to go and making sure he had supplies. Now I know in boot camp, usually you wouldn't have to bring anything leaving a boot camp, like underwear and socks and whatnot. I mean, you would probably have to carry a few hygiene products here and there, but other than that, you really didn't need much. But since he was leaving in the midst of the pandemic, they sent out letters saying that they needed to pick up additional supplies, and that went for his socks, hygiene products, underwear, and like maybe a shirt here and there. But yeah, they were going through a shortage with supplies, so they told everybody who was going into boot camp they need to pick up a few extra things. So that's what we decided to do. Although my boyfriend was leaving for the Army and I knew we were going to deal with some distance, I didn't exactly know what to expect, because my dad is a retired Army veteran, so I am no stranger to the military brat lifestyle. And although I didn't think him leaving was going to be a piece of cake, I didn't think it was gonna be as hard as it was. I remember days leading up to him leaving, we were getting his supplies and everything, and it was honestly a little roller coaster with my emotions, because one minute I would be fine, then, you know, just the closer we got to the day where he was gonna be leaving, it just started to tear me up. So for boot camp, if you don't know, they leave for 2 months. They can't have their I'm sorry. They can't have their phones. You can only really send letters, and they can call you here and there, but that's only when they finish their phases. And sometimes they'll call a little earlier when they finish, and sometimes they might call a little later. It depends on when they finish a phase or if they're getting punched or not, like if the platoon is getting punished. So one thing I do want to point out is, if you are experiencing your soldier getting ready to leave for boot camp, it's gonna be an emotional roller coaster. Now, this doesn't go for everybody because everybody experiences things differently, but it might just be a little rocky for you two because you both are dealing with the unknown. It's normal for couples to argue and fight before leaving. So don't think that if you guys are arguing then you guys should break up or anything like that. No, it's honestly hard because you both are going to be away from each other. You guys really aren't going to be in contact like that, and you know, it's just a time where you guys really need to try to be there for one another. If you guys already have an established relationship, you need to talk about the future, because a lot of people need to understand what it's gonna take to be a military spouse, girlfriend, or boyfriend, because once they start boot camp, it's a non-going cycle of them being gone. So before they leave, it's just best for you to establish an understanding and just really be patient with one another. Take this time to listen to each other, try to understand each other a little better, and try to spend as much time as possible with each other. So before they leave, it's important to just be as supportive as you can. Try to block out any negativity. Like, don't try to worry about what you can't change. Right when he was about to leave, a few days before he was about to leave, he the military got all the recruits hotel rooms in the next city not far from here. And I remember I got a hotel room in the same hotel he was going to be staying at because I wanted to be close to him and I wanted us to spend time with each other before he left that next morning. I got a hotel room the same day he was going to be there, and I spent the night the same night he was gonna leave. The day before he left, when I got to the hotel room, we got to just hang out, we ate, we went out to eat, we got him last minute supplies that he might need before he left, and you know, we just spent time with each other. I do also want to add on to my previous point. If you're having a hard time with your boyfriend, with your soldier leaving, don't feel silly for crying or showing emotion because they're gonna be gone. Don't feel silly at all for being sad or crying or anything like that. It's really hard being away from your person, because the thing about it is, my boyfriend, he's like my best friend. He's the first person I call when something goes good, when something goes bad, and you know, nobody's really gonna understand the bond that you two have. So it makes sense as to why you're sad. No, so don't let anybody try and tell you that you're being too emotional or you're doing too much, because really nobody understands what you're going through other than you two and obviously people who are in the military. So everybody's different. You have to do what you have to do to get your feelings out, and if you're gonna cry, girl, cry. It's okay. It's hard. This morning he had to leave at 4 in the morning, and you can't spend the night with each other in the hotel rooms or anything. I literally just got a hotel room just so I could be right, so we didn't have time to waste with each other. So you can't spend a night with each other or anything. So I remember he had a room with another recruit that they had to share, and the next day at 4 in the morning, they had to get up and they went downstairs to load up on the bus, and then they left. Now, they don't just leave right from the hotel room to boot camp. They have to go somewhere to do reception, and that's where they have to get their hair cut, they have to get their immunizations, they have to do their paperwork, and they just have to make sure everything is straight before they actually leave for boot camp. So they have to actually get all their stuff straight before they go, and I think they get their uniforms there as well. So at this point, when he left, I didn't hear from him. I didn't hear from him when he left for reception. 2 days went by, and I remember I was just getting ready to go out one day, and I got a random phone call from him, and I was so happy. And I remember we FaceTimed, so I got to see him in his uniform. They got to shave all his hair off and everything. And I think that next day he was going to be leaving, so I was really excited about that I got to talk to him, because after he left initially to get on the bus and go to reception, and I left the hotel room by myself, I was sad. They're going to get the opportunity to have what you call a scripted phone call, which is where they just call somebody to let you know that they got there safe, and here's the address or the mailing address, so you can start sending letters and stuff like that. So I was waiting on that scripted phone call because I knew he was gonna make it to boot camp. I know that's what they do. I know when they get there, they have to do a scripted phone call, right? I never got a call. I got like a random text message from him, but it was incomplete. Like you could tell he was trying to send something, but it wasn't going through. It wasn't complete to where I knew what was going on. So I was like, okay, yeah, maybe he's like, you know, messing around with his phone or something like that. So I never got a scripted phone call. Y'all want to know why? Because he told me that when he got to boot camp, right, everybody was there. The drill sergeants was like, y'all gotta call who y'all gotta call. Y'all only have like 2 minutes. So he wanted to call he called his father at first, right? He tried to call his father at first, right? But he didn't, and his father wasn't answering. So by that time, a minute had already passed. People were getting like smoked in front of him. So what he tried to do was he tried to send a picture of the script of what they had to say for the scripted phone call, and he tried to take a picture of that and send it to me, but I never got it because he didn't have service, so it never sent. So he was worrying himself because he thought that, I don't know if he thought I wasn't gonna pick up, or he was gonna run out of time before he called me. So he tried to send a picture of the script and it never made it to me. So I didn't get a scripted phone call, I didn't get an address, so I couldn't start sending him letters right away. So that branches into my first tip here. You'll be getting a scripted phone call maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days after they go to when they arrive to boot camp, because like I said, right after they leave on the bus, they don't leave right away to boot camp. They have to go to reception first, then they get to boot camp, and that's where they give you the scripted phone call. So it's pretty vital that you answer that call, because it's going to have the mailing address as to where you can send letters and stuff, that you know where they're at. I'm going to go into my tip about mail. So just know that mail takes 4 to 5 days to send to and back. Now it might take a little less time, it might take a little longer, maybe a few days longer, maybe a few days shorter, depending on the days or if there's holidays, something like that. But standard is maybe 4 to 5 days you can expect to get mail. You send mail, make sure to leave a date and a time of when you wrote the letter and stuff, just so you know you can keep up to date with your letters, and so they can just know what you were doing at this time, writing them letters and stuff like that. After I guess he tried to send me an address, I didn't know it was an address, so I didn't know when I was going to hear from him, right? So just know that when they get to boot camp, it's probably going to take them a little while to send you a letter or two. You might not hear back from them for a week or two, which is probably why it's vital for you to take note of the mailing address, so you can start sending the mail ahead of time, so they'll just get it. Because like I said, it takes 4 to 5 days for mail to deliver it, but not only that, it has to get through the drill sergeants and everything too. You just don't know when they might pass out mail. So I remember I didn't get a letter from him for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks of him being at boot camp. And I remember right before I got his first letter, I was getting ready to go on vacation. So I remember I got his first letter, and that came like a day or two before I was gonna leave out of town. Then I got his second letter like the next day. Then I got a third letter from him the next day. So it was really weird, because he was already writing me letters, because obviously he knew my address, but I couldn't send him letters. So it was a little miscommunication between us to anybody in a long time. So I didn't really know it was going to take mail that long to deliver. So while he's writing me letters, he's thinking that they sent already and I've already had them. And mind you, I haven't gotten his letters yet. You see what I'm saying? Like he was already sending me letters because he knew my address. I couldn't send him letters because I didn't have his address. So I was waiting on his first letter so I could use the address so I could start sending him mail. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So if you guys are sending each other letters, it might be a little miscommunication if you're writing them first or if they're writing you first, because it might seem like they're not writing you back on time, or they're not trying to write you at all. And one thing about it is, at boot camp, the drill sergeants might not pass out the mail on time. For whatever reason, they just might not pass it out on time, because I remember it took us maybe like a few weeks to get on track with mail, because he would send me letters, and when I finally got a letter from him, I had already sent a letter. So I'm getting all these letters from him, and I've already sent him letters that are en route, but he hasn't gotten them yet. So he thought that I wasn't writing him. So when we would call each other, he'd be like, I haven't gotten a letter from you. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I sent you a letter. And turned out it was the drill sergeant holding mail for like a few days, you know? So don't be worried about stuff like that. Just be patient with them. Just reassure them. Just don't be surprised if that happens, okay? Like, because I used to think that my mail was lost, something like that, and the whole time it was the drill sergeants holding on to my mail. So if you want to send pictures in your mail, go to a local CVS. They have kiosks there where you can literally plug your phone up and you can literally print off mail. You can literally print off pictures off of your phone, and it's very inexpensive. I used to send my man a lot of pictures, so and it used to be about maybe a few dollars at a time. So you can go to a local CVS, you can print off pictures, and it's literally inexpensive. And if you do that, if you send them pictures and a letter, and your letter looks a little thick, you need to put 2 stamps on the envelope. Because one thing about it is, if your letter is a little too thick, that mailman will leave your letter in the mailbox. Okay, it happened to me one time and I was going off, okay, because because what I used to do was I used to try to write him a letter every morning. Well, I used to try to write him a letter like every night, and then before I went to work in the morning, I would drop it off in the mailbox in the morning so the mailman would come get it while I was gone at work. Y'all, one time I left him a letter where I hand wrote him a letter, and I put it in the same envelope as the pictures, and I guess I put a little too many pictures in there, and I left one stamp on the envelope. When I came back home from work and I saw that same letter in my mailbox, I was going off. And I remember my mom and I went to the post office, and the lady said it was because my letter was a little too heavy and I didn't have 2 stamps on it, so we had to end up sending it out through there. But he should have left a note. Like, I was on a tight schedule, so when I seen that letter in the mailbox, I was going off. So yeah, if your letter is a little too thick, or you think it looks a little too thick, you're better off just leaving another stamp on it. There's nothing wrong with it, because like I said, these mailmen do not care. They will leave your letter in that mailbox and literally stick the mail that's delivered to you right under the letter. So you just need to be safe. You don't have to handwrite them. There is an app called Sandbox where you can literally type or text a letter, whatever device you're on, phone, laptop, iPad. You can literally type them up a letter, and they'll send them the letter physically, and they send them stamps in an envelope so they can send a letter back. I like to handwrite his letters and everything because I don't know, I'm old school, so I like to write the letters with my perfume, so when he got the letter he would smell my perfume. So that was like another like little way I could just, it's another cute thing to keep them look forward to, you know, just make it fun. The second tip I'm gonna name is to keep your phone on you. While they're in boot camp, they're gonna be able to call you after they finish a phase. You can expect a phone call after a phase, but you may not know when they finish a phase. So it's best to keep your phone on you, because they only have it for a certain amount of time. I think it was like 30 minutes for like one day after they finish a phase, and that's it. So if they call you and you don't answer, you might have missed them. And I remember during this time, I used to be so petrified that I would miss a call from him, because when he left for boot camp, that was around the same time I started my new job. And for y'all who've been watching my channel, y'all know I'm a medical assistant. I work in the healthcare field. I am always on my feet. I can't be on my phone like that. So I was like, what if he calls me while I'm at work and I don't feel it and I can't run away to answer it or anything like that? But thank God he never called while I was literally at work. He either called when I was off of work or when I was literally just leaving work. So that was really good. Keep your phone on you, keep an eye out for any phone calls from them, because you definitely want to talk to them. I want to give y'all a tip on is to join the Facebook group for the platoon of the boot camp. Okay, so there should be a Facebook group where you can join, which will literally give you updates and keep you up to date with your soldier in boot camp. It should give you like they talk about when they should be finishing a phase. They post pictures and stuff of them doing different exercises while they're on the field and stuff like that. They talk about projected graduation dates, where you can get a hotel room, what to expect for family day. It's just an informational Facebook group that you definitely want to be a part of, because you definitely want your updates. You want to know when graduation day is. You want to know when family day is. You want to know when they're finishing a phase, and you want to see pictures of them. You want to stay updated. So my next tip to deal with phone calls is to take advantage of the phone calls accordingly. What do I mean? Please wait to tell them bad news. When they call, please update them with real life stuff that's going on in the world. Use that time to encourage them and listen to them. Why I say you should wait to tell them bad news, or if anything is going on with you that you feel like might distract them, is because you don't want to distract them at this time. You just don't. Boot camp is mentally straining, so you don't want to throw them off guard with that. If you have bad news, I would really highly suggest that you wait to tell them when you see them for graduation. But by all means, if you can't wait, do what you have to do. But the only thing I'm trying to say is just use the phone calls wisely. You're not gonna have a lot of time like that. Just use that time to try and encourage each other and stay up to date with each other. I want y'all to know is that the days go by slow, but the weeks go by fast. Like, the days might seem like they're going by so slow, but y'all, time really does fly while they're gone. So that, I remember when he first left, I was like, 2 months is gonna be so long. Like, I'm not gonna be able to deal, like, I don't, like, what am I supposed to do? And time was flying. Like, before my eyes, it was literally graduation. And that's another thing I want to update y'all on. With the military, they don't care about nobody's civilian time, so you need to be updated on graduation dates and family day dates, because the military will push and pull dates, and they'll make up their mind last minute. So definitely stay on top of the date. That branches on to my last point. You need to be able to take care of yourself while they're gone, because like I said, it's not an easy experience. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster ride. There's some days where I was sad that he was gone, and then there was days where I was totally fine. It's an ongoing roller coaster of emotions. And with that being said, while they're gone, you need to be able to have a good support system, because you can't be somebody else's support and you don't have your own support. You can't be there for somebody 24/7 and you don't have anybody else to lean on. You can't do everything by yourself. On top of, you know, sending letters, make sure you're answering their phone calls and everything, sending them care packages and whatnot. You need to make sure you're taking care of yourself. That means going out for walks, hanging out with friends, you know, go back to school, pick up a new skill, because when you see them for graduation and family day, y'all are going to have plenty of time to catch up, and you're gonna want to have something for them to, you're gonna want to have something to tell them about since they've been gone, because they're gonna have a lot of experience and stuff to tell you while they were gone, and you want to make sure you have the same. But that wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. My next video will be my graduation, his family day, his graduation experience, because I went through a little Airbnb slight horror story. It wasn't really a horror story, but it was kind of a mess. So that's gonna be a different video in itself, so definitely stay tuned for that. That trip was something else, so be on the lookout for that. And with that, I will see you guys in my next video.